It was the 18th year of King Jeroboam that Abiah began his reign over Yehudah. He ruled 3 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Mikayehu, the daughter of Uriel from Giva. There was war between Abiah and Jeroboam. Abiah joined the battle with an army of valiant soldiers, 400,000 select troops, while Jeroboam took the field against him with 800,000 select troops who were valiant, strong men. Abiah, standing on Mount Zemaraim and the hills of the Ephraim, cried, Jeroboam and all Israel, listen to me. Don't you know that Adonai, the God of Israel, gave rulership over Israel to David forever, to him and his descendants by a covenant of salt, which is unbreakable? Yet Jeroboam and the son of Nebat, servant to Shlomo, the son of David, rose in rebellion against his Lord. There rallied around him worthless brutes who were too strong for Rechavim, the son of Shlomo, to withstand when he was young and inexperienced. Now you expect to withstand the kingdom of Adonai in the hands of the descendants of David? Yes, there are a great number of you, and you have with you the gold calves that Jeroboam made as gods for you. Yes, you drove out the Kohanim of Adonai, the descendants of Aaron and the Leviim, and you made yourselves priests, as do the peoples in other countries, so that anyone who comes to consecrate himself with a young bull and 7 rams can become a priest of those non-gods. But we are different. Adonai is our God. We have not abandoned him. We have Kohanim performing the service for Adonai, descendants of Aaron, with the Leviim doing their work. They burn to Adonai every morning and evening burnt offerings and sweet incense. They arrange the showbread of the purple table, and they prepare the gold menorah with its lamps to burn every evening. For we observe the order of Adonai our God, but you have abandoned him. So look here, God is with us, leading us and his Kohanim with the battle trumpets, the sound and alarm against you. People of Israel, don't fight against Adonai, the God of your ancestors, because you will not succeed. But Jeroboam prepared an ambush to ambush them from behind, so that the main body was ahead of Yehudah, while the ambush was behind them. Thus, when Yehudah looked back, the battle had to be fought in front of them and behind them. They cried to Adonai, and the Kohanim sounded the trumpets. Then the men of Yehudah gave forth a shout, and as the men of Yehudah shouted, God struck Jeroboam and all Israel before Abiah and Yehudah. The people of Israel fled before Yehudah, and God handed them over to them. Abiah and his army inflicted a great slaughter of them. 500,000 of Israel's select soldiers fell dead. Thus the people of Israel were subdued that time, and the people of Yehudah won the victory because they relied on Adonai, the God of their ancestors. Abiah pursued Jeroboam, taking from him the towns of Bet-El with its villages, Yeshinah and with its villages, Ephraim and with its villages. Jeroboam did not recover his strength during the time of Abiyahu. Finally, Adonai struck him, and he died. But Abiyahu grew strong. He married 14 wives and became the father of 22 sons and 16 daughters. Other activities of Abiah, together with his ways of doing things and his sayings, are recorded in the commentary of the prophet Iddo. Abiah slept with his ancestors, and they buried him in the city of David. Then Asa, his son, became king in his place. During this time, the land was quiet for 10 years. Asa did what was good and right in the perspective of Adonai, his God. For he removed the foreign altars and the high places, smashing the standing stones and chopping down the sacred poles. He ordered Yehudah to seek Adonai, the God of their ancestors, and to obey the Torah and the mitzvot. He removed the high places and pillars for sun worship from all the cities of Yehudah, and under him the kingdom was quiet. Because the land was quiet and he had no war during those years since Adonai had given him rest, he built fortified cities in Yehudah. Let's build these cities, he said to Yehudah. We'll surround them with walls, towers, gates, and bars. The land is there for us to use because we have sought Adonai our God. We have sought him, and he has given us peace on every side. So they built and prospered. Asa had an army of 300,000 men from Yehudah, equipped with shields and spears, and the other 280,000 from Benjamin with shields and bows, who all were brave, strong men. Zerach, an Ethiopian, came to attack them with an army of 1,300,000 chariots. When he arrived at Mareshah, Asa went out to fight him, and the forces were arranged for battle at the Sfat Valley in Mareshah. Asa cried out to Adonai his God, Adonai, there is no one beside yourself, strong or weak. Who can help? Help us, Adonai our God, because we are relying on you. We are coming against this vast and strong in your name. You are Adonai our God. Don't let human beings stop you. So Adonai struck the Ethiopians before Asa and Yehuda, and the Ethiopians fled. Asa and the army with him pursued them to Gerar, and the Ethiopians were defeated beyond recovery. They were shattered before Adonai and his army, who carried off much spoil. Then they attacked all the cities in the vicinity of Gerar, for the panic of Adonai had overcome them. They plundered all the cities, for they were full of spoil. They also attacked the tents of those tending the livestock and carried off sheep and camels in abundance. Then they returned to Jerusalem. And the Spirit of God came to Azariah, the son of Obed, when he went out to meet Asa, and said to them, Listen to me, Asa, and all of Yehuda of Benjamin. Adonai is with you as long as you are with him. If you seek him, you will find him. But if you abandon him, he will abandon you. For a long time Israel was without the true God, without Kohen, who could teach, without Torah. But when, in their distress, they turned to Adonai, the God of Israel, and sought him, they found him. In those times, going about their business were insecure, and great disturbances afflicted all the inhabitants of the land, so that they were shattered to pieces, nation against nation, city against city, as God troubled them with every kind of distress. But you, be strong, don't slack off, for your work will be rewarded. When Asa heard these words prophesied by Obed the prophet, it gave him courage to throw the disgusting things out of the whole land of Yehuda and Benjamin, and out of the cities he had captured in the hills of Ephraim. He also renewed the altar of Adonai, which was in front of the vestibule of Adonai. Then he gathered all Yehuda and Benjamin, along with those in Ephraim and Manasseh and Shimon. And they were staying with him, for he had defected to them in large numbers upon seeing that Adonai his God was with him. They assembled together in Jerusalem in the 3rd month in the 15th year of Asa's reign. That day they sacrificed Adonai 700 oxen and 7,000 sheep from the spoil they had brought. And they entered into a covenant to seek Adonai, the God of their ancestors, with all their heart and with all their being. They also agreed that whoever refuses to seek Adonai, the God of Israel, will be put to death, whether small or great, man or woman. They swore this to Adonai in a loud voice, with shouting and blowing of trumpets and shofars. Also, Yehuda was full of joy at this oath that they had sworn with all their heart and had sought him with all their will. They found him, and Adonai gave them rest all around. Asa the king also deposed Maacah, his grandmother, from her position as queen mother, because she had made a disgusting image for an Asherah. Asa cut down the image of hers, chopped it into tiny pieces, and burned it in the Vadi Kidron. But the high places were not removed from Israel. Nevertheless, Asa was wholehearted throughout his life. He brought into the house of God all the articles his father had consecrated, also the things he himself had consecrated, silver, gold, and utensils. There was no more war throughout his 35th year of Asa's reign. In the 36th year of Asa's reign, Baasha, king of Israel, attacked Yehuda, and he fortified Ramah to prevent anyone leaving or entering the territory of Asa, king of Yehuda. Then Asa removed silver and gold from the treasures of the house of Adonai and the royal palace, and sent his message to Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, who lived in Damascus. There is a covenant between me and you, as there was between my father and your father. Here, I am sending you silver and gold. Go and break your covenant with Baasha, king of Israel, so he will leave me alone. Ben-Hadad did as King Asa had asked. He sent the commanders of his armies against the cities of Israel, attacking Ayan, Dan, Evel, Miyem, all the storage cities of Naphtali. As soon as Baasha heard of it, he stopped building Ramah and abandoned his work. Asa, the king, took all Yehuda and carried off the stones and timber which Baasha used as fortified Ramah. With them he fortified Giva and Mitzbar. It was around then that Hananiah, the seer, came to Asa, king of Yehuda, and said to him, because you relied on the king of Aram and didn't rely on Adonai your God, the king of Aram's army has escaped from your power. The army of the Ethiopians in Luvim was huge, wasn't it? How many chariots and horsemen did they have? Yet, because you relied on Yet because you relied on Adonai, he handed them over to you. For the eyes of Adonai move here and there throughout the whole earth to show himself strong on behalf of those who are wholehearted toward him. You acted foolishly in this regard, for from now on you will have war." But Asa became angry at the seer. In fact, because of his rage at him over this matter, he threw him in prison. Moreover, at the same time, he mistreated some of the people. The activities of Asa from beginning to end are recorded in the annals of the kings of Yehuda and Israel. In the 39th year of his reign, he suffered from disease in his legs. It was very serious disease, yet even with this disease, he did not seek out Adonai, but turned to the physicians. Asa slept with his ancestors, dying in the 45th year of his reign. They buried him in his own burial cave, which he had ordered cut for himself in the city of David. They laid him in the bed filled with sweet spices of various kinds, expertly compounded, and very great fire was kindled in his armor.